Hello and welcome to Off the Cuff, presented by Emerging Leader Society, which is part of Spokane County United Way. My name is Kayleen. Off the Cuff gives us an opportunity to look into some of Spokane's most prominent leaders and their careers, their passions. Our guest this month is Cindy Donahue with Ignite Northwest. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for inviting me. I appreciate it.
Yeah. So I'd love to start off by hearing just a little bit about what you do during your daily life with Ignite Northwest.
My work life.
Yeah.
Daily life can mean a lot of things. Yes, so I am the Community Engagement Director, so that encompasses everything from social media to events and programs to just kind of creating a sense of community, bringing people together. The startup community is fairly small, and we're trying to grow that. So making there a kind of a sense of a startup community here.
Okay. So Spokane has obviously become a place where you want to build that community.
By far.
Are you originally from Spokane, or have you grown to love Spokane?
I'm not from Spokane, and I have definitely grown to love Spokane. So I am from Southern California. I know I shouldn't say that. It's true. But I moved here 15 years ago, and I didn't know anything about Spokane. I was working in a big city at a corporate job, and I wanted to change my life. And I was amazed at how the people in Spokane just welcome me with open arms. I mean, it's just been the generosity of spirit and the willingness to help each other in this community, to me, is always astounding and amazing. So I feel very welcome here. Now it is my home.
Very good. How has your appreciation changed for the city since you started living here to now?
I'd say at first I didn't really explore the outdoors enough. It's incredible the number of trails and parks and lakes to go. So I don't think I explored as much in the beginning. I was a stay-at-home mom, and so I was really focused in on that. But now I love going skiing and being outdoors a lot more than I was.
Very good. Good. So I know that you have other interests outside of, or that have been built from Ignite Northwest, specifically revolving around women in leadership. Can you speak to some of those interests and pursuits?
Yeah, so helping other women rise and mentoring other women is definitely a passion of mine. And so I was lucky enough to be part of the Women in Leadership through Spokane Quarterly Magazine, and that opened up a lot of doors. And so at my previous role, I started a women's leadership luncheon, and then I participate in as many leadership or women's leadership events as I can, going to luncheons and just being part of Whitworth's program, Hazard Leadership 360. So I just try to participate, and then I also try to host events if something comes up that seems like we need to talk about. So recently we did one on work-life balance, whether that's a myth or whether that's something you can create. And then hopefully we'll do, with what came out of that conversation, we'll do one on the power of no and trying to hold our boundaries according to our value.
Okay. So if I, as a woman, am looking to get connected with opportunities like that, how do I go about learning from you or breaking into that circle?
I think that we all communicate pretty effectively amongst everyone in the leadership community in Spokane, mostly through universities and through some of the networking programs through GSI. And I think just reaching out to me or someone on LinkedIn or on Facebook, I think that's probably generally the best way. And to also be bold enough to go to an event or to make a call and reach out, because that's the great thing about this community is you can call someone and they are most likely going to call you back and schedule coffee. It's a big little town that way.
Very much so. Yeah. So what is maybe something that you would share at one of those events? I know there's a lot of questions we have, but some reflect on like a failure you've had that has taught you to grow, or something you wish you'd known 20 years ago. Anything in particular that you go to?
The number of things I wish I would have known 20 years ago. But I would say the focus on, in terms of leadership skills, the focus on listening and on empathy, I think that's been something that's really helped me a lot, really focusing in on other people, trying to stand in their shoes. That's something that I've learned more and more as I move forward in life. But in terms of my biggest failure, that was the question we'd kind of talked about, is when I first had left college and went to have my first big job in San Francisco, I got fired and I was horrified. I'd always been a straight A student, very much the perfectionist. And so I couldn't believe something like that could happen. And it wasn't a right culture fit, and it wasn't a right fit with the manager that I had at that time. And so what I realized out of that failure was that it was just a job is a job. and it's not your life, and that failure is an opportunity to learn and then to grow and then to bounce back into something else. So I wish I would have known that sooner. I think I would have made more bold choices if I was less fearful of failure,
Yeah.
for sure.
So how does that experience inform what you're bringing to those that you're mentoring?
I would just say go for it, right? Get to know yourself and what you are passionate about and where your skill set is, and just move forward in a way that maybe you didn't think you were capable of, and take challenges that maybe you don't think you're ready for, because you'll surprise yourself.
Yeah, and I know we also like to ask questions about risk, or maybe a risk that you've taken. I know you're speaking to some right now generally, but can you think of one in particular that really paid off for you in the end, or that you're glad you took?
Of a risk in my life? Yeah, I'd say deciding to stop working and be a stay-at-home mom. I did that for 3 years, and that, I thought at the time, that was a big decision, and that was a huge risk. I thought, what if I'm missing out on opportunity, on my career path? What if I can't, reach some height that I thought I could reach at that time? And not only did it pay off because I had time with my daughter and got to really focus on being a parent, which is by far the best thing that I've ever done. But I think, again, it showed me to stop being so fearful, and that you can do whatever you set your mind to, and that you can jump into something else and maybe achieve things you didn't even realize were possible when you look back on the path and see where you were and where you go.
Yeah. Do you feel, and I can only imagine, but that's a message that resonates with a lot of women in the Spokane community? What are some of the stories you're hearing, or, are people relating to that message?
I think so. I think we all are fearful, or we feel like maybe we're secretly not good enough, and I think that we, maybe not just as women, but anyone, we don't realize our potential, and we don't see it in ourselves. And I think just, not just being humble, but also being confident. I think those are important skills that you have to learn, that maybe when you're younger, you don't accept those things in yourself, or maybe you think something's different about you that's not a positive, but it is. For instance, I didn't think that talking with people or public speaking was something that was that interesting. But I sort of realized along the way that other people aren't as comfortable with it as I am. And I'm like, wow, I didn't realize that relating to people or having conversations, meaningful conversations, is something that not everyone is comfortable with.
Good. Are you reading anything right now, or have you read anything recently that you'd recommend, or has helped shape your current approach to life?
I will admit that I'm not a great reader. I seem to think that if I have stacks of book on my nightstand, that they'll, like by osmosis, they'll just float into my mind when I have free time. But the book that probably affected me the most is Start With Why. And finding your why. There is a 20-minute YouTube version if someone doesn't want to read the book, but it's a good read. And for me, I always come back to that. Not what am I doing, or what are we doing as a team, or how are we going to go about it, but why are we really doing it? What are our motivations behind it? What is really at the core of what we're trying to accomplish? And I come back to that over and over again.
So I'd love to hear about some of your accomplishments in your time in Spokane, and if you have a top 3, if you have a top 1, whatever you'd like to share about.
I would say my top one and my favorite one is being a parent to my amazing daughter. By far my best accomplishment in life is being a parent. And I think working hard enough in our community to be recognized as a woman in business leadership, that happened in 2019. And that really changed the trajectory of what was possible for me, and it opened a lot of doors. So I'm glad that opportunity presented itself. And probably the third one I'd say is being chosen to be an honorary commander for the Fairchild Air Force Base. I didn't know anything about the military before I started that journey, and now I'm the honorary commander for the 92nd Air Refueling Wing, the Blackhawks, and I get to go on base and learn from my airmen all of the sacrifices they make for our country. And the Fairchild Air Force Base is one of the largest employers we have in this county. There's 6,000 people that are here in our community that are from the base. So I'm really excited and proud of that opportunity.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for sharing. I know one of the things I appreciated was reaching out to you and connecting to even have this conversation. You were the first one to pick up the phone and, get right back to me with great energy. And it's nice when you can have approachable like you said, people in Spokane who will pick up the phone or call you back and want to make these connections. And
I think the Emerging Leader Society is so important and does such great work. So I was really excited that you called and happy to help any way that you need.
yeah. Well, thanks again for sharing your time today. Thank you for watching. This was Off the Cuff with Emerging Leader Society, a part of Spokane County United Way. Check us out on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook.
The Emerging Leaders Society is a network of philanthropic young professionals supporting Spokane County United Way's vision through networking, volunteering, and professional development.